Hello, Rositaverse. Welcome back to the channel. Now, today I want to talk about decisions, choices, and regret, especially from an immigrant's perspective. However, this video will apply to everyone as well. And before I start, I just want to welcome everyone who's new to this channel. This is a place where we talk all things navigating life abroad with the purpose of building resilience, because it is not just about surviving, it's about thriving as well. Now, before I get into the video, I want to tell you a little story. It is my story, something that happened in 2006. Now, I came to the UK in 2000. So in 2006, I was finishing up my nurse training. And at the time, the rules before I started my training were that once you qualify, if you're a foreign student, a nursing student, then you were guaranteed a job at the end of that. But something happened as I was about to finish my nurse training. The UK government changed the rules, the immigration rules. They removed a lot of nurse roles from the shortage occupation list. And they say that for you to get a work permit or for you to stay in the country, you must find a job in theaters. Theaters, recovery was one of those areas that were still on the shortage occupation list. So yeah, you can imagine the worry, the anxiety that I had at the time, because what it meant was that everyone was scrambling for those roles, and there was no guarantee that I would be able to find a role in those specific areas. So yeah, when I saw those changes, I really panicked. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do if I don't find a job? It means that I'll have to go back to Zimbabwe or sort something out. So that was an anxious time for me. And what I did was I started looking to other countries, to countries like Australia and the United States as well. So I cast the net wide. So I applied to hospitals in Australia, and I was lucky enough to get 2 interviews. And for all the interviews, I was offered a job. So for me, it was a question of choosing which offer to accept. So anyway, I accepted one of the offers, and that hospital started the ball rolling, processing my paperwork and all that. But then I got cold feet, because when it came down to it, I was thinking, should I really take the leap and go to Australia? What if I get the job in the UK after all? And mind you, at the time, I was also applying in the UK as well at the same time, because yeah, for me, it became a scramble because I wanted to be safe. So it so happened that I got a job in recovery. So it meant that I now had 2 very attractive job roles offers, because the job in Australia was offering me more money. I had done the calculations then. So for me, it all came down to making that final decision to say, okay, am I going to relocate again for the second time to Australia, or should I stay put? In the end, I decided to stay put. I decided to stay in the UK because I was already settled in the UK, even though I was a student, but I was settled and I knew my way around. So I was thinking, should I move again? Start all over again, getting to know how things are done and all that. So I didn't want the hassle. So in the end, I made the decision to stay. And there are times when I wonder what my life could have been, or how things could have turned out for me had I decided to relocate to Australia. It is something that crosses my mind every now and again. And there are times when I'm tempted to think that maybe I would have been better off going to Australia rather than sticking around in the UK. But I don't know that. I don't know that. There's no guarantee, because as long as you're an immigrant, this is what I've realized, especially looking at the current climate. I've come to realize that when it comes to you being an immigrant, living in a foreign country, making that all-important decision, sacrificing everything to uproot yourself, your family, to go overseas, to start a brand new life, I've realized that there are no guarantees in life. Yes, you can make that decision based on what is presented, the rules that are presented to you at the time. There's no guarantee that there will be the same rules 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years after relocating. Clearly, we can see that things are changing. And I've just shown you that in 2006, as I was finishing my nurse training, the rules flipped on me. So this is why I want to talk about decisions and regrets. why some of us right now are regretting making that decision. And there are times when we might blame ourselves to say, maybe I should have listened to so and so, maybe I should have done this, I should have waited. I know it is tempting to think like that, especially if you've just relocated, recently relocated in the last, let's say, 3, 2, even 5 years. Those people who came with COS, certificate of sponsorships, people who came on care worker visas, even on skilled worker visas recently in the last few years, you might be regretting and thinking, what have I done? What have I done? Because, yeah, I'm listening to videos of people expressing those sentiments to say, yeah, I wish I hadn't come. And some people are actually making the brave decision to relocate back home. It is because they came here on a promise. They made the decision to leave everything, to sacrifice everything. Some people sold their homes, their houses. Some people sold their land. They sold everything, like they sacrificed a lot to come to the UK because they were following a certain path that they were promised, only to come here to discover that actually that path is a dead end. It has changed without warning. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think that that is fair, because if you're doing a certain job and if the job is tied to your visa, guess what? It means you can't leave that job even if you want to, because your visa, the conditions of that visa are tied to your job. And because you're also fearful, because you have seen how the rules can flip at any moment without notice, for you to take or to want to take that chance to say, you know what, I'm looking elsewhere. I want to change my visa. Yeah, you become a little bit hesitant because there are no guarantees anymore. There are no guarantees anymore. So in a way, you are caged. What if the job won't allow you to progress? What if you're not having a promotion? What if you don't like that job? What if you're miserable at that job? What are you going to do? It means you're stuck. You're stuck there. This is why I'm saying the decisions we have to make as immigrants, yeah, they're not easy decisions, because essentially you're walking into the unknown, especially nowadays. Yeah, the terrain is no longer predictable at all. It's difficult now because here as well, there's the issue of loneliness. There are times when, even if you're struggling, you don't have anyone to talk to, because, yeah, it is almost becoming a survival of the fittest, each man for himself. That is what it is starting to feel like. So who do you cry to? Everyone else is crying. And we talk about the cost of living as well, because you also make that decision after doing your research, looking at the cost of living and all that, and the amount of money that you're offered at the job. So when you're still back home, you're saying, okay, if I pay my rent, let's say my rent will be £600 and I pay all my other bills, there will be like £400, that's £1,000. At least I have a bit of extra to set aside, depending on how much you'd have been offered. So you're going through the thought process, and that is helping you to make that important decision to say, you know what, let me take the plunge and relocate, only to come here and discover that the bills keep going up. Things are unpredictable on that front. That will also throw you off, and you start to wonder, what have I done? What have I done? This is why I strongly advise people who are back home, especially my fellow Africans, before you make the decision to go abroad, look at how much you're making at the end of every month. And I'm not just talking about people who go to jobs, who have got jobs, formal jobs. I'm talking about whatever hustle you've got going on. If you make $1,000 in Africa, as I said before in some of my videos, you're rich. It is not worth you sacrificing that to relocate, especially in 2025, unless you're coming for education and other things. That is fine. But if you're coming purely to work and raise money, guess what? Forget it. I've been working in the UK for many years, and I can tell you, despite being settled in the UK, despite having the experience of being an immigrant, I still live paycheck to paycheck. It's not that I don't know how to budget my money. It's not because I'm careless with my money or anything like that. It is not that. It is just the facts. I'm living paycheck to paycheck after paying my mortgage, after paying my bills, after paying my car insurance, after paying everything I have to pay. guess what? I'm left with peanuts to set aside. And when I go shopping for my food, there are certain things that I now don't even bother to look at because those things are now luxuries to me. And another important thing as well I need to mention is that even with the British passport, I still have no access to public funds in some situations. There's now a tight grip, and you get a feeling that if something goes wrong in your life, guess what? You're on your own. There's no one out there to help you. It's like you're being accepted on paper, but rejected in real life. Despite doing your bit, working hard, paying your taxes, doing your bit to contribute to society. If something happens to you, God forbid, yeah, you're on your own. So I get the sense that there's this quiet grief that is now there where people, if you're an immigrant, you're saying, okay, I made this decision to relocate based on a promise, only for you to come and slowly watch those close while you're already inside. It's now a trap. You are now already inside. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, especially if you sacrifice everything? What are you going to do? For the majority of us, we've got no choice but to remain inside until such a time when we can breathe and maybe find a little bit of wiggle room. Yes, some people can afford to say, you know what, I'm out of here, but that's not most of us. So to end this video, here's what I'll say. If you're already here in the UK, you came based on a promise which has now been broken, and you're now beating yourself up. You're now regretting, saying, what on earth have I done? And you're feeling bad, guilty even. I just want to say that, you know what, give yourself some grace because you made the decision based on the information at the time, based on the promise at the time, which you thought was legit, which is now being withdrawn. So it's not your fault. So yeah, forgive yourself and just do your best. And also, it is always a good thing to know where you stand when it comes to your visa situation, the conditions of your visa, whether you can switch jobs, whether you can switch roles and things like that. Know where you stand. Like, go on the government website, look at the rules, and seek clarification as well. Consult professionals, immigration lawyers, go to the Citizens Advice Bureau, and just know where you stand. And lastly, if you're considering going back to Zimbabwe, to Nigeria, to Kenya, Uganda, maybe you come from India, a European country somewhere, and you're feeling some type of way about these changes, the rules and so on, you're feeling frustrated, and you're thinking, you know what, I want to go to another country. I want to go to Dubai. I want to go to Thailand. I want to go wherever. If you are in that frame of mind, what I would urge you is to not make emotional decisions. Take a moment to pause, like give yourself time to ruminate, to think things through. And this also applies to the natives of this country because you might make that emotional decision to say, you know what, I'm leaving the UK. I'm going to another country to start a brand new life, only to go there and start regretting. So never make emotional decisions because when emotions are high, yeah, it is easy to make mistakes and it is easy to regret later on. So this requires rational thinking, making calculated decisions, calculated moves, and planning as well. Like, look at your situation realistically. Because as I always say, we're in different circumstances because you might see someone moving to another country somewhere or relocating back to Zimbabwe, but you don't know their circumstances. Maybe they're already established back home. They have options. And if you don't have options, then stay put until you have options. So yeah, this is what I wanted to share with you in this video. I don't know what you think about everything I've said. Please don't forget to like this video. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.